Do you hear your own sigh, hidden somewhere amidst the relentless clamor of today? A very soft sigh, escaping your lips just as night falls, when you lay your back against the bed, but your eyes remain fixed on the empty void, carrying a chest heavy with anxieties about tomorrow. You are so very tired, aren't you? Exhausted not because you have worked too much today, but because your mind is forced to carry the crushing weight of countless distant futures that have not yet come to pass.
We often unknowingly let the fear of the future surround us, turning our inner world into a raging river during flood season. That murky, roaring water just keeps churning, sweeping away every ounce of peace, washing away the tiny, fragile joys of the present moment. Sometimes it breaks your heart to realize that the days of your youth, the precious moments sitting beside your loved ones, are slipping through your fingers like water, simply because your mind is too busy struggling in the thick, suffocating fog of anxious premonitions.
But my dear friend, tonight, allow yourself to completely let go. Let us sit together in this tranquil space of still mind Dharma to brew a warm pot of tea and smile as we see through the layers of fog obscuring your vision. We will gently untangle each knot in your soul so you can touch an indescribably tender truth. Do not worry too much about the future, for 90% of the things you fear to the point of a twisted gut will never happen. Let me use this touch of mindful warmth to soothe the churning waters within you, clearing the way to return to your soul a lake surface that is perfectly still, crystal clear, and overflowing with gentle healing.
You know, the human mind is a miraculous wonder, but sometimes it is the very darkest prison we build with our own hands. In the hurried pace of reality, when streams of information surround us from all sides, our minds are easily deceived. We carry the shattered echoes of the past, mold them with the rumors and invisible uncertainties of tomorrow, and then create a dense layer of fog that completely obscures the present. That fog is called anxiety. It seeps into every crevice of the soul, turning a tiny ripple on the surface of a lake into a catastrophic flood waiting to swallow us whole. When you sit there worrying about a project that might fail, about an illness that hasn't even knocked on your door, about a loved one who might leave, you are letting yourself sink into the freezing waters of paranoia. Your body is still safe right here, on this soft bed, in this warm room, but your soul is suffocating, thrashing amidst the roaring floodwaters of a future that does not yet exist.
Let me tell you a story passed down from ancient times amidst the mist-shrouded mountains of the Tang dynasty. There was an old Zen master leading a young novice monk on a pilgrimage across treacherous mountain paths. One twilight, as darkness began to blanket the trail, they stopped to camp at the edge of a forest. From afar, in the silent night, echoed a fierce, roaring rumble. The novice monk, terrified, asked his master what that terrifying sound was. The Zen master closed his eyes and calmly replied that it was the roar of the black water, a massive, raging river blocking the path they had to cross tomorrow. That night, the young monk could not sleep a wink. His mind constantly painted horrifying scenarios. He envisioned the muddy, fiercely churning waters, the sharp, hidden rocks waiting to tear his flesh. He imagined slipping, being swept away forever by that cold, merciless river, with no one to save him. The panic wrapped around him like a soaking, suffocating fog. For the entire long night, the novice writhed in absolute terror, bathed in cold sweat, despite never having touched a single drop of the black water.
The next morning,
With dark circles under his eyes and trembling legs, the novice trailed behind his master toward the roaring sound from the night before. Yet as they parted the final forest leaves and stepped into the clearing, the sight before them left him stunned. That fierce roaring sound, it was now nothing more than a tiny, gentle, babbling brook, so crystal clear that they could perfectly see the smooth, round pebbles resting peacefully at the bottom. The old Zen master turned around, his eyes brimming with immense compassion and boundless wisdom. He gently smiled and said, "Do you see, my child? You drowned in your own mind since last night, long before your heels could even touch a single drop of this river's water."
The Zen master's words are like a waking bell echoing through the mists of time, striking the deepest consciousness of every one of us today. We, the people of the modern age, aren't we just like that pitiful little monk? We weave our own rivers of raging, turbulent waves within our minds. We lose our appetite, we lose our sleep, we torment our bodies and erode our souls over the roaring sounds of our imagination. 90% of the disasters, the tragedies, the breakdowns you fear so deeply are, in fact, just the wind howling through the gorge of your mind. They have never happened, and they will never happen. Yet you allow yourself to drown time and time again in that illusory water.
The feeling of anxiety is an invisible energy, but it has devastating, destructive power. It is like a silent toxin seeping from within, blending into your bloodstream, paralyzing every sense, so you cannot feel the beauty of the present. You sit eating a simple evening meal with your family, the warm, fragrant steam rising from the rice, surrounded by warm laughter, yet you are consuming the worries of tomorrow's report. You walk under a canopy of lush green trees, sunlight filtering through the leaves to dance upon your shoulders, yet you carry on your back the invisible boulder of fears about old age, about financial ruin in a future decades away. In doing so, you are stripping away your own life right in the present moment. Human life is impermanent, existing fleetingly like a shadow passing a window. Why should we waste the rare, peaceful moments we have to breathe, only to submerge ourselves in a flood that isn't even real?
When you throw a stone of anxiety into the lake of your mind, it creates endlessly rippling waves. One panicked thought will drag along 10 other negative thoughts. The more you struggle, the more you try to use reason to analyze and extinguish the worry, the more you muddy that lake. In Buddhism, the world-honored one never taught us to suppress or deny our fears. He taught us the art of silent observation. When the fog of anxiety rolls in, instead of panicking and blindly waving your hands to chase it away, simply sit still. Close your eyes, take a deep breath to bring the warmth of mindfulness back to fill your chest. Gently acknowledge that fear, call it by its name, and tell it, "I know you are here, but you are merely an illusion of tomorrow. You are not the truth of today." You know, to see the bottom of a lake, we cannot use a stick to stir it. The only way is to let it be still. When the mind is still, all the sediment of overthinking, of terrifying delusions, will slowly settle. At that moment, the lake of your mind will be as flat as a mirror, flawlessly reflecting the clear sky of the present. You will realize that no matter what tomorrow brings, right here, right in this very breath, you are still safe. Every resource, every ounce of strength, every bit of wisdom you need to cope with the real challenges of life, they do not reside in the future. They are being accumulated right now in the peace of the present. When you stop casting your mind forward to paint storms and rivers, you will see that your feet are actually standing on incredibly solid ground.
Let the roaring waters of tomorrow flow in their own way. Your task is not to build breakwaters for a river that hasn't even appeared. Your task is to be fully present right here, dipping your hands into the cool, refreshing water of today, washing away the dusty layers of anxiety, and allowing your heart to beat with the most leisurely, peaceful rhythm. Because after the rain, the water will recede on its own. The fog will dissipate on its own under the radiant light of the sun, and the things you once feared so utterly will ultimately be nothing more than an illusion, fading into the void.
After all the churning of the mind's waters that we have just looked back upon together, you see, human life already holds enough rugged realities for us to walk through. Why should we burden our shoulders with the sorrows of a day that has not yet come? This universe operates according to a miraculous and incredibly precise law. Tomorrow's raindrops cannot wet today's shirt. The pain of the coming days cannot harm your being in this current moment, unless you yourself allow it to. Do not drown yourself in the black water of your imagination. Do not carry the ice block of insecurity, only to freeze your own heart. The things you are trembling in fear of, 90% of them will slip into nothingness, vanishing like thin layers of fog when the brilliant sun rises. As for the meager 10% remaining, if it truly passes through your life, the universe will always grant you enough strength, enough tranquility, and enough grace to face it exactly when it appears.
So, starting tonight, make a very simple promise to yourself. When darkness falls and the sighs are ready to escape, when you feel your chest tightening again as anxious thoughts of tomorrow rise like a high tide, do not struggle. Do not resist. Just let yourself lie still on your warm bed, gently placing one hand on your left chest, where your heart is still diligently beating the rhythms of life. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Feel the cool, life-giving air flooding into your body, and as you exhale, whisper silently to yourself, "Right now, right here, I am perfectly safe."
And just like that, every inhale is a time you lift yourself out of the floodwaters of anxiety. Every exhale is a time you let the mind's illusions drift away. You are merely a silent observer, sitting on the peaceful riverbank, calmly watching the fearful leaves drift across the water's surface and disappear, without dipping yourself into that rushing current. Allow your inner lake to settle, so the sediment of worry automatically sinks deep to the bottom. When the mind is no longer agitated by distant scenarios, it will return to you a crystal clear, serene stillness, perfectly reflecting the shimmering beauty of tonight's sky. Peace does not lie in your ability to control tomorrow, but in your ability to let go and live fully with today.
The atmosphere right now seems to be softening, gently embracing the hardships you have bent under throughout the long day. If these late-night whispers from Still Mind Dharma have accidentally touched a little wavering corner in your soul, if they have helped you wipe away a layer of anxious fog to feel your heart become lighter, then please stay just a little longer. Smile and leave a comment right here, bravely writing down the exact invisible fear that is binding you. Consider the moment you press send as the exact moment you cast that heavy stone into the depths of the lake, never to bother you again.
Do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as a way of sowing a seed of wholesome connection into the soil of life that will help us meet again, sit together again and sip from the same cup of peaceful tea in our next journeys towards silence. I pray that the lake of your mind tonight does not have the slightest ripple. I wish you a sleep that is profound and soothing, so that tomorrow morning when you awake, what greets you will be a patch of crystal clear morning sunlight and a soul that is completely unhurried, free, and at peace before all the shifting tides of heaven and earth.